Now, welcome back. We are now joined in studio by Loyiso Saliso, who's the organizer of the hashtag Total Shutdown March. And via Skype, we have Tsebo, Phakisi, who's the coordinator of the same hashtag Total Shutdown March in Lesotho. Welcome, and we really appreciate you making time. Well, the hashtag Total Shutdown, in as much as it didn't shut the whole country down, but you managed to really achieve some of your objectives within a very short space of time.
Absolutely. It's been a tough journey, to be honest with you, working up to the 1st of August. But we understand it's not going to happen overnight. It was not going to happen only over one day. We've got a lot of work to do. We're currently still working. We were determined not to leave without seeing the president and him receiving our memorandum, which he did. Our very first and main demand was him agreeing to gender summit, which he did. And he met also 2 of our 3 demands, which he had. The deadline was the 9th of August. So we are okay with that, but we still want the 1 more.
Which is?
Which is him making sure that he is vocal about people who are working within government who have been accused of, have been charged of abuse to not work within the sector of government.
Okay, but overall, what is the main objective behind Total Shutdown?
Our main objective is to see an end of gender-based violence and femicide in our society. That's what we want. We want the war on women, and actually intersectional women and children, gender non-conforming people to end. That's what we want. We want the government to be accountable, we want the government to commit, we want the justice system to do better and the law to do better, but also society to do better as well.
But you then internationalized, if I may call it, you know, this campaign. It happened on the same day as it was here in Pretoria, in Lesotho. It happened in Namibia. You know, what was the rationale behind going beyond the borders? Okay,
that was not the plan, to be honest with you. The plan was for us to march in South Africa, but women came forward saying that, you know what, we are in Lesotho, your struggle is our struggle, and we will march in solidarity with you. Women in Namibia came forward, women in Australia who are South Africans were there, and we were not going to say no, because clearly it's not only a South African issue, it's an international issue. Yes. And
perhaps the response from the president, I'm sure, well, it must be humbling, you know, to have well, a president who would, you know, out of his schedule make time to come and meet with you guys. I mean, I was following the march, well, thanks to Tokoloho and other pressure groups around me. But what then do you expect out of us as men?
Oh, we expect men to do better. Men do a lot of lip servicing. Like, especially during this phrase, men have been coming forward and saying, oh, you know, protect our sisters, we feel sorry for our sisters. But men need to do more. Men need to hold each other accountable. Men need to intervene when they see a woman being violated or a child being violated. Men need to call out their own, because currently men will say, I am not an abuser, but you are an enabler when you do not call out to your friend who is, or do not report or intervene one way or the other. So men need to do more than just talking about this. I mean, it really is an issue about patriarchy. And we are not the ones who are cushioned in patriarchy, it's the men that are. And men need to have conversations and need to start acting on those conversations as well.
Okay, let's bring in Tsebo Phakisi from Lesotho. She's the coordinator that side. Tsebo, I hope you are able to get in touch with us. Perhaps just give us a little background behind you know, you adopting or creating a chapter of this total, or rather hashtag Total Shutdown in Lesotho.
Thank you very much for having me. And more than anything, what happened, the Total Shutdown movement resonated with us. And we took it upon ourselves as Lesotho feminists, women who are really fed up with the situation. And what we were saying, as Loyiso has also stated, is we want government to not be complicit the way it has been complicit in addressing gender-based violence issues. We want legislature to be as overt and as straight to the point as possible. And honestly, it was just a lot of things have been happening in Lesotho. Killings, femicide is normalized, and kidnappings, abuse is normalized. So through the total shutdown, we're just trying, again, to bring to the focal point that we shouldn't normalize such behavior. We shouldn't normalize the law that's being inflicted on women's bodies, on gender non-conforming folks also.
Now, how do you, Tsebo, as activists, and I'm going to want to localize it for Lesotho. How do you make sure that Memam TDC in Malea or Mafiteng or Kasha's neck is able to relate to, or rather to relate with you as this modern hashtag generations?
As the naming of the march states, that it is an intersectional march. And per Kimberly Crenshaw's definition of intersectionality, which is the idea that oppressions converge and systems of oppression converge, we have tried to, not being anti-intellectualism, but we have tried to have conversations out of the very academic jargon that happens, that sometimes infiltrates activist spaces. So it's just word of mouth, having conversations with our mothers, and being very, and having contextualized and comprehensive conversations, I think, because what happens in Maseru and how I may relate with this patriarchy as the word, for example, or with misogyny as a word, is not going to be the case with my grandmother who's Mokotlo. So it's just bringing to, not to demean that level of understanding, but to just use the way they know things as saying, okay, you see this is happening, what do you think about it? In as much as it's normalized, we think this should be happening. We're just not imposing, we're using, as Paulo Fore suggests, a very dialogical approach.
Now tell me, perhaps before I let you go, Tsebo, the South African chapter managed to get response, and positive one for that matter, in a very short space of time. I wonder, isn't Tate Thabane giving you an ear?
Well, Tate Thabane is not giving us the ear that we want. Government is not giving us the ear that we want. And I think that has been a very big hurdle regarding the whole movement, that it was a very relaxed, they received the message very relaxed. And what we're working towards now post the march is how do we create a platform to converse with government in ways that assure us that we will push for tangible and comprehensive and measures that are not just going to be for sakes of just like talking. Okay. So that's where we are at right now. The response wasn't what we wanted, but we're working on the ground to assure that we get the one that we want.
All right, maybe you would have to send Loyiso to the embassy or the High Commission this side. But
we'll be there.
Perhaps as we close up, the Gender Summit is going to happen. What's on the agenda? Are we welcome as men?
Men always want to be involved. There are men who are welcome because we're working with government departments. Okay, the march is really about addressing and dissecting the 24 demands which we've handed over to the president.
Yes.
And those demands are demands which were made by women throughout the country. They are now going to be separated into 5 clusters, which are coordination, prevention, support, law and policy, as well as accountability.
Okay.
And we're addressing those to all the relevant government departments, because we not only about handing over the demands, which are our solutions to our problems, but also the key thing is implementation.
Okay.
And that's what we want to see.
Which men are not welcome, by the way, because you said some?
You know what? We're really taking this seriously.
Yes.
And the men that are going to be there are men who are in government departments, because they are obviously, they're like your DGs and so forth. They need to be there because they're doing their work. We kindly ask that men on the ground mobilize each other, start having conversations, start fathering your sons as well. So that maybe you can start changing the next generation as well. You can occupy that space on that day. Okay,
so you don't have names of people that are not welcome?
No.
Okay, no, it's fine. But thank you very much for making time, and we really wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
We're with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sisonke.
Mandla.
Well, that was Loyiso Saliso, the organizer of the Total Shutdown March, and Tsebo, Phakisi, coordinator of the Total Shutdown in Lesotho via our Skype line.